If you're watching this video, it means that you're on the hunt for that $1 million SaaS idea. It means that you're in that stage where you want to get into launching a SaaS business, but you don't want to waste months building the wrong product. Here's the thing, SaaS is more crowded than ever before. However, the opportunities for SaaS are greater than ever before as well. So here's the big question. How do you make sure you pick the right SaaS idea? An idea that may actually be able to scale to $1 million a year. In this episode, having done this over the last 15 years, having built multiple SaaS companies, having exited them, in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 steps that I follow, that I coach the founders I work with to follow to pick the right SaaS ideas so that they stand a chance in getting to that $1 million ARR mark. Intro. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unstoppable. I'm TK, and on this channel, I help SaaS founders like you start, grow, scale, and exit your SaaS businesses with an unstoppable strategy. Now, if you're new to this channel, welcome. I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to grow your SaaS business faster. So if you're new, be sure to hit that subscribe button and that bell icon. That way you'll get notified every single time I drop an episode with the TK energy. Now, if you're already part of this community, if you're part of my SaaS go-to-market coaching programs, my people, welcome back. It's really awesome to see you over here. My last company, ToutApp, I built over the course of a weekend. I built it over a weekend, I launched it, and within the first week, we were generating revenues. Now, here's the thing though. Here's the story that a lot of people claim that it happened over a weekend. It was overnight success, but that's never really true. The reason I was able to build that over the course of a weekend was because I had spent 12 months thinking about building it. I had been doing customer development, and also I was working on a different SaaS idea that was going absolutely nowhere. So I started ToutApp, it got to revenues, and then I went on to scale it. I raised venture capital from the likes of Andreessen Horowitz. I scaled a company. We amassed nearly 100,000 registered users on the platform. And then we sold it to a company called Marketo. They were a market leader in the marketing automation space. After selling ToutApp, after actually working at Marketo, after helping sell Marketo to Adobe for $4.75 billion, I started this YouTube channel. And in this YouTube channel, I codified every single thing I learned having been a SaaS founder and having actually scaled a company. Ever since I started that YouTube channel, I also started my coaching program. And over the last 4 years that I've been doing this, I've actually coached over 500 founders across the different programs that I run. Now, something happened a year ago. A year ago, I said, you know what? I did it once, I did it twice. Could I do it again? So I started following my own courses, the things that I teach, the things that I use to coach founders, the things that I teach in this channel to actually develop my SaaS idea and start bringing it to market. 12 months later, I've actually taken 2 SaaS ideas from idea to building it to initial revenues, and now we're scaling it based on everything that we teach in this channel and in my go-to-market programs. So this begs the question, how did I do it again? And what do I actually coach founders who are looking to start SaaS companies? So in this episode, I'm gonna walk you through the 3 steps that I followed, that I teach founders that I work with to follow, and that now you can follow. And that way you can avoid months building the wrong product, and you can actually pursue that $1 million SaaS idea. If you're excited to dig in, go ahead and smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. Let's dig right into it. Step number 1 is to actually do the math. There are a lot of gurus on YouTube that have never actually reached $1 million in ARR, but more importantly, don't really do the math, and they just say it's $1 million idea or $1 billion idea. They are not real business people. They haven't really done the math on what it actually takes to get to $1 million in ARR. And one of the biggest things I try to do when I'm looking at an idea, when I'm coaching founders, when I'm just even advising someone, a friend that wants to get into SaaS or any kind of business, is to do the math. A lot of people just don't do the math. So let's just say you want to get to $1 million in ARR. ARR is annual recurring revenue, and that's a little bit of a gold standard for SaaS ideas. You get it to $1 million, that means you really have something and you could scale it. $1 million in ARR essentially nets out to $83,000 of MRR, monthly recurring revenue. It means that you're selling enough product, you have enough users paying you monthly on a credit card where every month you're bringing in $83,000. Now, naturally with SaaS, the way it works is some people will no longer decide to go on, so they'll churn, they'll leave you. But at the same time, you'll add more people. So on average, you want to consistently be doing $83,000 a month, and therefore you will have $1 million business. That's the basic math. Now here's where it gets super interesting, and here's where a lot of people don't do the math. If you were to pursue an idea, one of the first things you want to ask yourself is, how much would I charge for this idea? There's some natural price points when it comes to SaaS, especially B2B SaaS, which is what I specialize in. The first one is you could charge $9 a month. You could charge $29 a month. You could charge $99 a month. You could get real fancy and charge $299 a month, or you can be one of the best of the best and go in and charge $999 a month. Why is this important? Well, the reason this is important is the path to get to $1 million per year, or $83,000 and $333.33 per month. It can be very different depending on the type of product, the type of market, and how much you're charging. And quite frankly, this is very important to do upfront because it'll help you determine what kind of product am I building? Who's going to be buying it? Can they buy it? And how can I justify the price I'm going to charge? Because here's how it becomes really, really cool. If you wanted to make $1 million a year with your SaaS idea, and you wanted to do $83,000 every single month, cha-ching, your bank account hits, and boom, little by little, those credit card transactions add up to $83,000 if you're a million ARR, then you have to determine how much you're charging. If you created a $9 a month product, it means that you actually need to get to 9,259 paying users. If you were charging $29 a month, it becomes a little bit easier. You're going to need 2,874 users. If you are charging $99 a month, which in a way is like almost 3 times as much, you would only need 842 paying users. If you were charging $299 a month, you would only need 279 users. And if you were charging $1,000 a month, $999 sounds cheaper than $1,000 for some weird reason, people like it better, then you would only need 83 paying users or paying customers at that point. This is super powerful because this alone will help you determine, hey, this idea that I want to go after, how much can I charge for it? How much business value am I driving? And who are the people that are going to buy this and can they afford this price point? It'll also help you determine just how much work you're going to have to do, how many users you would have to acquire to able to hit your $1 million number. Isn't that cool? A lot of times people don't do the math. And the way you would go about building a $9 product, it's going to be very different than how you build a $999 product. One of the biggest mistakes that founders make in the early stages of SaaS is they think that they can build a compelling SaaS product using no-code tools. The reality is no-code tools aren't really going to get you great SaaS products that can compete. Maybe you'll get a $9 or $29 product. Maybe you can convince 10 people and get them to buy it, but it's really not going to be sustainable. Thinking about the price and thinking about the path to how you're going to get to $1 million can be very powerful in fleshing out what's the idea and how do we actually make it compelling. Now, let's talk about how do you actually make it compelling. This leads into my second step. This is the second principle that I follow. This I call the 10x rule. I call it the 10x rule, but I didn't make this up. This is kind of a rule of thumb in SaaS and doubly so in business. You essentially need to have a product that is 10 times better than the competition. Now, if this is your first SaaS company, I would highly recommend against going after something new. You should choose an idea that already has existing competition out there. If you are the only person doing this idea, chances are people smarter than you and I combined have actually already tried it and it never worked, and that's why there is no competition. It's just a bad idea. So you should almost always figure out, does this idea already exist? Who are already winning in it? And again, how much are they charging? And how many users am I going to need to get to my $1 million number? Now, let's just say you find a really great idea. You're like, this is a great idea. I bet I can do better. Well, here's where the bar comes in. If you create a shitty SaaS product that's $9 to compete against the $99 product that you built on no code using devs that have never built anything before, chances are you're not going to be successful. I don't get paid to give you this advice. I'm doing this out of the goodness of my heart, to be honest, but that's the honest truth. There are a lot of people out there that are like, hey, you can just build it with no code, but the reality is the bar is so high for SaaS, it needs to be quality products. Now, there are some cases where you can build a quality product using no code tools. You just need to understand this principle. It needs to be 10 times better than the competition. There's 2 ways you can actually be 10 times better than the competition. There's a misnomer here. Sometimes people confuse this. They think it needs to be 10 times better in terms of having all the features the competition has. That's actually not true. What you need to do is be 10 times better in at least one feature. You can always find one core feature that your competition that you can do 10 times better as. And you can go into the market that they're competing in and say, look, we don't do all the bells and whistles, but we do this one thing really well, and we know that they suck at this, and therefore you should go with us. So feature is always a good way to 10x differentiate. The other way you can differentiate is to go after a specific vertical. So for example, Salesforce is the best CRM ever invented. Well, HubSpot might be right now. But however, if you decide to enter into the CRM space, it may be really hard for you to compete, even if you underprice it. But if you go in and say, look, we are the only CRM that is purpose-built. This is one of the key ways to say you are super verticalized. We are purpose-built only for salespeople who are selling used cars. I just made that up, but that's an example. Then you're going after a specific vertical. And that over there's less competition. So you can build your software specifically with that customer in mind and custom tailor it so that they are really well taken care of. And that's another way to be having a 10x better product. Look, I don't mean to hate on low-code tools or code tools. I don't actually care what you build your product in. The reality is it needs to clear a quality bar. And that's what the second step is all about. So you want to ask yourself, how do I clear the quality bar? Do I actually deliver a 10x feature, or do I go after a vertical and deliver a 10x experience? Either way, you actually need to deliver some sort of a 10x experience. So this could be either where you say you're purpose built for a vertical. So this is vertical. Or you can say, we actually zoomed in on this one feature and made that work really, really well. And so you could just do that and use the other tool for everything else, and we integrate perfectly. That's step number 2. You really want to make sure you're doing it the right way. Now, there's one word of warning on this one. The real warning here, a lot of times I meet founders, they're like, look, we're going to go after this competitive space, but they charge $99 a month. We are going to give them a lifetime deal of $199 and give it to them, and they're gonna love us. A lot of times people actually think that you can compete on price in SaaS. The reality is people don't want cheaper software. They want better software that's gonna take care of them. So when you come in and say, hey, this really mission critical thing that you're using software XYZ for, that's a well-known brand, and they charge $99 a month and they have employees, well, you shouldn't pay that. You should instead cancel that, move your critical business operations to us, me, the one-person startup, and I'll give it to you for $1.99 for a lifetime deal. Do you really think someone would take you up on that offer? So this is where I always get people to think that cheaper is not always better in SaaS. What you want to go for is 10x better in terms of feature, a certain feature, one feature, doesn't have to be all of them, or a certain vertical where you're purpose built for that person and say like, hey, look, we're purpose built for you. So therefore you're going to have a 10 times better experience and you can try it out. So that's step number 2. Step number 3, this is where all these things come together. Before I go into that, let me just pause here for a second. These are the 3 steps, and I'm about to tell you step number 3, that I go through to actually figure out if there's a $1 million idea. You're starting to see the power in this. Instead of just writing code and starting up a GitHub repo and then never getting any customers, or going after an idea that no one has done, and now you're gonna be the first person since the beginning of the planet to actually be successful, instead of doing all of that. If you can see how just following the math and then the 10x rule can help you save months of building the wrong product, you start to see the power in this. Can I just get a yes in the comments below? And also smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. And so do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. Also, if you're in this stage where you're trying to hone in on your SaaS idea and you're like, TK, I'm starting to do some math. I kind of want to do a $29 product. I kind of have this idea. How do I make sure I'm 10 times better? If you're starting to figure out all these pieces, you should grab a complimentary copy of my 10-point SaaS business checklist. Having done this multiple times, having coached over 250 pre-founders, these are folks that are honing in on their idea and getting to initial product market fit and initial revenues. These are 10 questions I always ask myself and the founders that I'm coaching before they write a line of code. These are 10 questions that I wish I asked myself before I created Tout Up and I was working on that other idea that was going nowhere. And these are the 10 questions I asked myself before I wrote a line of code for the last 2 companies that I started that I've taken from idea to initial revenues in the last 12 months. So you don't have to go anywhere right now. I'll link to it below. I'll tell you more about it at the end of this episode. Let's go into principle number 3 where all this comes together. Let's just say you decide, all right, TK, I think I want to go after this $29 pricing tier. The $29 pricing tier, I'm gonna get 2,800 customers and I'm gonna have $1 million SaaS business. Awesome. I am actually going to go after a very specific vertical and I'm going to target, let's just say, salespeople. I love salespeople. That's going to be my vertical. So $29 a month product, I'm gonna target salespeople. This is where the rubber hits the road. You're like, I should go build a product, right? Well, you can. It's up to you, but there are some ways to pre-validate before you write a line of code to make sure that there's real value here. The first one, again, is some simple math. This 10x rule actually applies to ROI, return on investment. Turns out when you are asking someone to pay $29, they're basically times 10ing that number. So in order to justify $29 a month of spend, they really want to make sure they're getting at least $300 a month of value every single month from whatever they're spending. People don't explicitly do this. Well, in the large enterprise deals, they do ROI analyses, but people intrinsically try to figure out like, is this worth 29 bucks? And turns out if they can figure out the math on, well, if I spend 29 bucks on this, I'll make this much in commission as a salesperson, and that's gonna pay for it. And if that number clears at least $300, they're gonna try your tool out. So one of the first ways to start validating this is to actually just think about, can I 10x my price? And can I meet that number? Can I look someone in the eye and say, look, you give me 29 bucks, you use my software, you're gonna make $300, even more, based on commission for the salespeople you're targeting. So that's one small litmus test that you can just do internally or with people that you already know that are in the target market you're going into to start to understand if they're willing to pay this price point. And of course, as you're looking at competition, you can start to see if they're already charging for it. If they are and they have product market fit and they have customers, chances are that they're already proving that market. But now you still have to test if they're willing to pay for this 10x feature or that 10x vertical. So the variable that's there, you can actually test for that by just asking, following the 10x rule. Now, let's just say it clears the 10x rule. You're like, look, TK, I have this sales tool and they're gonna pay $29 a month, but the average commission check for a salesperson is $1,000. So they're definitely gonna make money and I'm gonna help them make even more than that. So I'm gonna pass the 10x rule. So how do I actually make sure that I'm building the right product? How do I get initial customers? How do I actually make sure that I'm not building a terrible product and it's truly a 10x feature? Well, this is where this last rule comes into play. I call this my 100 times 10 times 1 rule. The 100 times 10 times 1 rule is pretty straightforward. This kind of plays out every single time. I'm gonna make a little line here. You talk to 100 people that are in your ideal customer profile. These are your targets, salespeople, right? Out of those 100, if you reach out to them or you DM them or you message them or you meet them at a cocktail party or you go to a conference, 10 of them are going to become real opportunities. Meaning 10 of them will say, hey, that's kind of interesting. I would like to learn more. And if you have a good product and your thesis is correct, you'll get at least one customer. That's roughly how the averages work out. Now, can they be better? Absolutely. But when you're first starting out, the 110-1 rule has always proved to be true. Until I talk to 100 people, I don't really rule out an idea after all these things check out. So what you would need to do is figure out ways how you can talk to 100 people in your target market and figure out if they would actually find value in what you're looking to build at the price point you're looking to build. Super simple. Now, what happens is once you get one customer, you know you have something. Then what you do is you go and talk to another 100 and you get another one. You talk to another 100 and you get another one. And this is how you get initial revenues. Once you have initial revenues, then you can figure out how do I actually at scale talk to hundreds and thousands of people so that I can consistently get new customers. But in this early stages, what you really want to do are these unscalable things to figure out if this product thesis of yours is correct at all. And remember, you can back into it. You can also figure out, are there 2,874 customers that I can even target that are salespeople? So sometimes founders choose ideas for markets that are just too small. And so you can easily see like, are there 2,800 people? But really, in order to get 2,800 customers, I'd have to talk to like 28,000 people at scale at some point. Are there 28,000 people in this target demographic? So you can figure out if there's a big enough of a market for your software as well as you're doing this exercise. And put simply, every 100 people you talk to, if your idea is good, you should get at least one customer. And as you keep doing that, as your messaging gets better, as your emotions get better, you can do more scalable things and talk to hundreds and thousands of people at scale and convert to customers down the line. And that's where SaaS gets super interesting because for every additional customer, there's no cost. It's just software. You're just running the servers. They don't exponentially increase, which is why SaaS businesses are so incredible. Now, I've nerded out on this plenty, so let's actually recap all the pieces that we've covered. In order to figure out your $1 million SaaS idea, step one is to do the math. In order to do $1 million a year, that's $83,000 a month. Depending on your price point, that's how many customers, paying customers you would need. So just do the math and figure out where you want to price it, and then figure out who you're actually going after. If you're a first-time founder, it's better not to go after an idea that no one's ever done because chances are it's a terrible idea. Otherwise, they would have already done it. So pick an idea that you can compete with. And you want to actually make sure that you can break the 10x rule, meaning you have to be 10 times better than the competitors that already exist, either in one feature. It's going to be one gap in their product where you're like, look, I'm sure you love those guys, but they don't do this, and we're 10 times better in this, and this is the thing that you really care about. Or you can say we're purpose built for blank, which is a very specific vertical. It's like, look, you can use the generic CRM, or you can use the CRM that are only for clowns, for example. I don't know, clowns probably need a CRM because they got deals to close. Once you have those two steps, then comes that 100 times 10 times 1 rule. 100, 10, 1 rule. Every 100 people you talk to, 10 of them will actually express interest in the product you're building or you're solving for, or you have a better beta around, you get 1 customer. If you actually talk to 100 people and absolutely no one's interested, it's a terrible idea. Go back to the drawing board. But if you get 1 customer, you know something, then get another 100 and another 100, and then you can scale from there. That's where it becomes really, really exciting. And these numbers can start to compound, and pretty soon you'll have that $83K a month, which is $1 million a year. And you can exit the SaaS company for anywhere from 3x upwards of 8x, depending on how fast you're growing, which is what gets super interesting. Now you know the 3 steps that I follow to develop $1 million SaaS ideas. Now, what you may not know is, TK, how do I make sure this idea is any good? When I approach these 100 people, what do I ask them? How do I engage with them? How do I communicate to them what I do and why we're 10 times better? So if you're figuring out these questions, this is why I created my 10-point SaaS business checklist. It's 10 questions that you should ask yourself to figure out if your idea is any good. It's very straightforward. I've used this personally. I developed this after I reflected on my own journey of products that worked and didn't work. And I'm like, these are the questions I should have asked, and I would have gotten there a lot faster. I've then coached nearly 500 founders across different stages on how to scale SaaS companies, how to go from initial idea to revenues to scaling. I've worked with founders upwards of 100 million revenue even. And so these 10 questions are battle hardened. And then I followed those 10 questions again, just to prove I'm not stale and I can keep doing this, to take 2 SaaS ideas, 2 revenues in the last 12 months, and now we're scaling it based on all the principles that I teach in this channel. So if you want to grab a copy of that 10-point checklist and save yourself from months of building the wrong product, just go to tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist. tkkader.com/SaaS-checklist. It's an incredible checklist. You can download it, you'll get access right away. And inside of it, you can ask the 10 questions that you should ask yourself before you write a line of code so that you can actually make sure you're following this framework. Also, if you got value from this video, please smash that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It just loves it when you do that. So do we. We put a lot of love into these videos. If you have a fellow founder, if you have a fellow pre-founder, if you're part of a Slack community or a WhatsApp group, other founders that are looking to build SaaS companies, please share this video with them. You would mean the world to us. We want to help as many SaaS founders as possible build incredible software companies. Also, I drop an episode every single Sunday with actionable strategies and tactics from the trenches on how to start, grow, scale, and exit your SaaS companies. So be sure to hit the subscribe button and that bell icon. You'll get notified every single time I drop an episode. And lastly, remember, everyone needs a strategy for their life and their business. When you are with us, yours is going to be unstoppable. I'm TK, and I'll see you in the next episode or inside the 10-point SaaS business checklist. Say that 10 times faster. Take care, everybody.